do is Ambriana. Most of you guys know me from my oil portraits, as you can see, but I also get asked to do a lot of other types of projects like body art, running art stands, setting up and teaching paint and sip classes, even decorating cookies.
So when I was asked to do 14 murals, I was like, absolutely. And now that I've done them, I have a list of things I wish I had known before I did them. So stay tuned, and hopefully I can tell you something you didn't already know. Okay, I can't tell you everything to get for supplies because we'd be here all day, but I can link some more videos regarding supplies below, and I can tell you some of the things that I personally had to make a second trip to go get. Chalk. Chalk is a lifesaver. I was doing an indoor mural. Well, indoor murals. So I can't vouch for anything outside, okay? Sorry. If you're doing an outdoor mural, I want to say chalk would be cool, but if it rains, I'm sorry. But I love chalk because one, I could see it from a distance. It was super great. I could wipe it off quickly. And I had these nice little microfiber towels, whatever, I don't know, something like that. But I had these nice towels that really just cleaned that up very quickly. And you can paint over it fairly easily. It can get a little dusty, so be prepared to like sweep up any dust that might be on the floor. And also get a lot of chalk. One box of chalk is probably not gonna cut it. You'll probably need like 2 or 3. I ran through a lot of chalk personally. When I was sketching out all of my paintings. Y'all, I forgot a paint key. If you really have like never touched latex paint ever in the whole wide world, a paint key just opens the paint can, and I forgot it, so I had to use my key. But I didn't forget brushes, but brushes and a bucket. If you're gonna be doing like working outside and you want to be able to clean your brushes without having to go wherever your designated cleaning area is, I recommend having a bucket. They're like $5. They're nice. From Lowe's, and the orange place, Home Depot. I had 2 buckets, and I filled them up with warm water, and one would be for rinsing initially, and the other one would be for like cleaning the brushes, like really getting the nitty gritty out of there. And that worked out really well for me personally. I also had this comb that would brush through, like comb through the brushes, and that helped out a lot too. A ladder and a stool or an apron. It gets messy, guys. These are, I'm starting to throw things out there, but these are important. Like, and there is a really big difference between a ladder and a stool personally. I'm 5'1". Stools are my best friend. But when you're painting, a ladder can sometimes be in your way and hard to move, whereas a stool can sometimes just be perfectly what you know, if you just need an extra step or 2, you're good. If you're real live working on like a 30-foot mural, get a ladder, Bookie. Maybe a little bit more than a ladder. Drop cloths are nice to have. Very nice to have. I wish I had more in my house because they're helpful, but they're just random things. These are just some random things that might help you out. So chalk, drop cloth, paint key, a hammer so you can close the can after you've already opened it, brushes, buckets, ladders, stools. These are all things that chalk, did I already say chalk? Chalk. But these are things that were fairly key to my list that I feel like it was very easy to forget. It happens, you know.
Speaking of forgetting things, I also forgot to mention, for your supplies, go ahead and get a cart with wheels. You want to be able to pull your paint, not hold your paint and carry it all around. Trust me, get a cart.
For the actual painting process, I really think this is so important, and I know a friend of mine would back me up on this. When you're doing your sketches, one, do them in the colors that you plan on using. I recommend having a limited color palette. If you can get everything done with like 6-7 colors, 5 to 7 colors or something like that, and just mix everything in between, I think you'll be walking on sunshine. because the more paint you have, the more rolling it around, the more lifting, the more, if you have to get a whole can of paint for every slight different shade of paint you're using, then that can, one, rack up the bill. If you're paying for your own supplies, that's not going to be fun, Bookie. Two, you're going to have to be carrying all this paint and moving it around or just handling it. So you don't really want to be wasteful if you don't have to. Or at least I don't recommend that. We kind of have enough of an issue with global warming. Also, after you come up with your design, if you have access to graphic art, anything like Procreate or Adobe, I don't use Adobe anything, but all of the Adobes, if you have access to that, please, please, please take your sketch and put it on the wall. Take a picture of the wall, and take a sketch and slap it on there so that they can see exactly what the goal is. I started before using graphic art by making thumbnails. Then I painted them, and then I took pictures of what I painted, and I put them both options on the wall so that they could see exactly what it would look like. Even though the background's a little different, they still have a clear idea of what they're getting. And this is how it turned out. You don't want to give someone a black and white sketch and then they be like, oh, okay, I love the concept. And you paint it and they're like, ooh, I didn't know it was going to be blue though. Our thing is kind of red. It's not looking good. That's not an argument you want to have. That's not even an argument. That's not a conversation you want to have. So just don't do it. Just don't do it. Just go ahead and do everything you plan on doing on paper, whether you do it on paper, whether you paint it on canvas, whether you are literally a graphic artist. Shout out to you. It's hard. I don't know how y'all do it. But get your sketch, do it in the same colors, color match if you can, and just get it as close to how it should be executed as possible in that sketch. Because 9 times out of 10, your employer is not an artist. So they don't see the world like we see it. And that's okay. That's very okay. I don't see the world how a plumber sees the world. Because when I look at pipes, I don't understand where they go, what they do, and none of that. So I can only imagine how it feels to not be an artist and me trying to look from our point of view. Because I feel like we see colors that other people don't even be seeing all the time. So, or at least recognize, maybe not see. Regarding getting your painting up on the wall, like say you've gotten the design approved, you're good to go. It's time to work. It's time to get it going. I use Mural Maker by Da Vinci. I'll put it in the comments or like on the screen or something. But I love that app for murals. It does require that you have at least 2 Apple products, like an iPhone and a tablet or something like that. Because what it does is you put your phone up on your tripod and it's pointing towards the wall. And then so we're going to pretend this is my tablet because I don't have it with me right now. And so say phone's pointing at the wall, you can see what your phone sees on the tablet. So if my phone was pointing at this, I would see this on this screen. And then I could essentially trace my design onto the wall. Lifesaver. The app is like $5 a month. I mean, if you're doing a mural, I guess you don't really need it for a month. Just do what you got to do, man. Do what you got to do. Support them. I think what they did was pretty cool. So shout out to whoever made that because I can't code for anything. But that's what I did. It was very fast, efficient compared to the grid method, which takes math. Yeah, you lost me there. Lost me at math. But it's necessary for this type of work. Unfortunately, my math teacher in high school was correct. I would need to know these things. So for the grid method, I think you can take a pretty good guess at that. You just put a grid over your work and you essentially grid out the wall. I personally, if I were doing the grid method, I think I would keep my grid based on like literally a foot, but that's up to y'all. I'm not going to even get into numbers. It'll get confusing. I'm sure there are a plethora of videos on the grid method because it's very popular on Canvas, not even just mural art. A lot of artists use it. So I would definitely recommend looking that up if you don't really want to go, or if you just don't have an iPhone and an iPad, or if you just are an Android user. Up to you, no judgment. But that's another method too. This is honestly probably one of the biggest parts of this video is your contract. You need a contract. If you're scared of contracts, just don't even do it. Don't even do it. As an artist, please get comfortable with having contracts. They are, as in anything, it's just life-saving. It's better safe than sorry. And that's just what it boils down to. There are plenty of resources to help you get started with that. That'll turn into a whole nother video. If you want to find out more about contracts and how to understand them, how all of that, drop it in the comments. It should include things like, for example, who buys the supplies? Who cleans up after this is all done? Say you have a paint stain on the floor and this is an indoor mural, and like, who's cleaning that up? Are you in charge of that? Or is the company gonna handle that? This is stuff you need to know. Your contract, it needs to have everything in it. Any questions that you have in general for your employer should be answered and addressed in your contract. If you come up with a question and you're like, oh, well, who's going to pay for the supplies? That should be in your contract, Bookie. That needs to be in your contract. Also, if you're working for a nonprofit, they get tax write-offs for that. So, artist to artist, encourage them that way for that one. Yes, your contract should basically list the services, explain who's doing what for who, when, how, why, and where. Maybe not why, but you get the point. So as your independent contractor, I am doing yada, 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 but in more contracty terms, because that wasn't a great example, but I'm trying to make it so you can understand. But like, the contractor will have executed this mural by this date. And this is also when you set up your payment too. Like, this is where you put your payment into, it's in paper. It's on paper, not in it. Anyways, work with me, y'all. I'm getting used to YouTube. But here is the time, for example, when I did mine, I would receive a down payment of this. Halfway, I would also receive this at the halfway mark after I ran through everything with my employers. And at the end, after I ran through everything with my employers again, I got the last check. That's how I prefer to do it, because I don't play with my down payments. Down payments are important. Highly recommend you have down payments if you're in this field. Please, 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 please. That can be a whole nother video too. It's the business side of being an artist can get a little crazy. Last minute, but another good question is, where are you going to clean your brushes? If you're painting a mural and you get done and you're in this building and you have all these messy brushes and you got to clean it in their regular bathroom, like, that might be an issue for them. So remember, for contracts, you need to have all these little questions. Just try to run through what, like, literally step by step, what you think you're going to be doing in your head. Write it down if that helps. Any questions that arise, oh, who's going to do that? Oh, where's this going to come from? Who's paying for this? Will they already have a ladder supplied? Like, how much of my supplies am I using and how much of their supplies will I be using? These are things that are ironed out in the contract. And it's a lot easier to just do it in the beginning than try to figure something out in the middle of the process when you're arguing with an employer or something like that. So protect yourself. Okay, so you already got the gig, right? Now you're just like, how much do I charge? What do I even do, right? And I get that. We got you. You're gonna be good. Pricing is gonna be different based on where you live. I am based in Virginia currently. And the average mural artist, according to some of the research I did, goes about $12 per square foot. It changes. It depends on how complicated the mural is or detailed. Charge for the mural. You can charge based on time, and you can charge based on square feet. Anyway. So if you're going based off of square footage, then you just need a set price, and they'll tell you the measurements, or you can go measure it yourself. So yeah, you can do it like that. You can do about an hour. You can do an overall cover, like just a full-on price. That's up to you. I do think it's important to note, a lot of people wonder how to get a mural in the first place. That is something that my experience cannot help you with, unfortunately, because they came to me. But after asking around and getting some tips from some friends who are mural artists, it seems like one of the most popular methods is to just volunteer or to accompany someone who is already an established mural artist. And then you can learn tips and tricks from them. You can really get everything that I wish I had under my belt before I started, immediately under your belt, and get paid for it. Love that. Or you can go to a nonprofit and say, hey, if you guys get the supplies, like, I'm willing to do this mural for you. And that seems to work for some people. That gets them a couple of paintings under their belt. And the more you got, the more likely you are to get some more. So.
Just a few more points before we head out. 9 times out of 10, your employer has never hired a muralist before. So don't be afraid to ask them questions, and don't be intimidated by any questions they might have. If you don't know the answer, it's okay to say that. Just let them know that you'll do whatever research is necessary to get the job done. Also, if the project seems a little overwhelming at some point, don't be afraid to ask for help. I asked my homeboy Anthony to come up. We used to take art classes together, and it really, really helped out so much just having someone, a friend of mine around, someone that I'm familiar with that was in a whole new area. And he's also an artist, so we kind of got to learn a lot of new things at the same time. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to dig into the community and do what you got to do.
This is just a little list of things I wish I had known before I started my paintings. But yeah, if you can think of anything you'd like to add based on your experience, or if you have any questions, or if you have something mean to say, I'd rather you email it to me because I'm very sensitive. Anywho, but yeah, thank you for watching, and see you soon.